The Center for Family and Community Engagement has several graduate students supporting the work that we do across North Carolina. Meet some of our psychology students.
I have had many roles at CFACE, which is amazing. That opportunity in and of itself is quite wonderful. I have filled roles as research assistant, currently a project manager, doing all different types of tasks on a number of different projects. So just the breadth of experience has been really wonderful and has transferred to what I can bring to the table as a student. It's transferred to the classes that I've taken as a doctoral student. It's transferred to my own research and to professional development, which is really wonderful. My advisor is Dr. Siobhan Newport, and we specialize in daily diary work in our lab. So we have collected a number of different data sets that really center around evaluating how people's experiences vary from day to day. So we can look at not only how an individual varies from a different individual, but how they vary within themselves across time, which gives us a unique insight into these constantly changing mechanisms, these the finer details of behavior in everyday life that could contribute to a number of different well-being outcomes.
So I have been very involved in the bail reform efforts that CFACE is working on. And last year we spent a lot of time meeting with community partners and talking about their expectations for reform and really trying to get an idea of what would be feasible for them and what they were looking for in this project. And going through that whole experience really made me realize how important it is to start a project off by meeting with community partners and talking with them and really getting a sense of what they're looking for. Because for one thing, we realized that some of our initial ideas were they just weren't going to be feasible for them. And so going through that meeting with them and talking with them helped us kind of shape some of our ideas. And we started the project out collecting pilot data to see how things were going. And because we had gone through all the planning with them, we were able to make sure that we collected data that would answer their specific questions and that would really help address the things that they wanted to know so that they could make choices about the next steps and that they were getting all of the information they needed and wanted. And so going through that just made me realize that that is a critical first step for any project.
So being a doctoral student in the Lifespan Developmental Psychology program, I can honestly say that I have used almost everything from my classes to help inform my work and just my role at CFACE. However, if I had to pick one, I would say that the skills that I have developed and learned in my statistics programs have transferred incredibly to my position. In our program, we go through rather rigorous statistical training, and it is invaluable when it comes to doing the research that we do at the Center for Family and Community Engagement across all the projects that I work on.
I took a qualitative research methods class recently from Dr. Alon Hope, who I think is actually one of our community partners at CFACE, or our faculty partners at CFACE. And that class really changed the way I think about a lot of things, but especially the way I think about how I approach my work. And we spend a lot of time talking about positionality statements and really understanding our experiences and our identities and what that means for how we, what we bring to the projects that we're working on and what viewpoints we have and how that might shape the way we approach things, and just being very aware of that in the work that we do.
The opportunity to work at the center came at a very opportune time for me at the end of my first year in my doctoral program. And so I took advantage of it. I jumped at the opportunity. At that time, Dr. Joan Pinnell was the director of the center. And she brought me on with the understanding that I would be a research assistant across a number of different projects. I had done some research on what the center was all about and the missions that the center is built on, and the impact that we try to have in the community really drew me into wanting to work on just about anything that the center would offer me, because I knew it would have a positive impact and I would learn a lot in the process.
I chose to work at CFACE because I love that CFACE is so committed to working with community partners in every step of the projects that we do, and that we are committed to learning from our community partners, and that CFACE is just such an encouraging and supportive environment to be a part of.
For more information on what our students are working on, please visit cface.org.